What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, and today is my Week 12 edition mock draft using the most up-to-date draft order, at least to the best of my ability. 2 rounds, as always. Make sure to like this video, leave your comments in the comment section, and subscribe if you haven't already. There's a little bit of movement. It's been a little bit of movement between some of the prospects and some of the teams. That's really sort of setting up where this draft process, I think, is going to go. And scouts are starting to go to certain players. So it's kind of manipulating where we're going to be come draft time, it seems. And some offseason strategizing that teams are going to be doing. Of course, there's the Hendon Hooker torn ACL, which for a 25-year-old prospect is not great. And you'll notice that he is going to suffer greatly in my projections due to that injury and his inability to participate in the actual pre-draft process, as well as finishing out the college football season, which he really needed to finish strong anyway to be a quarterback at that age and to be a high-level draft pick, especially at quarterback. But let's waste no more time. Let's get to it. And of course, as always, we go 8 by 8, so we'll start with the first 8 picks, and the first 2, pretty obvious. Bryce Young, CJ Stroud. I think that unless Chicago finds their way to the number 2 pick, then these will be the top 2 draft picks coming out this year. Young and Stroud will just be a matter of who the number 1 team feels is the number 1 quarterback. But with Carolina there at number 2, I think it's pretty safe to say they'll take CJ Stroud. Then Chicago and the Raiders just go best player available for both of those spots. Will Anderson, good edge rusher. They did trade Robert Quinn. They don't really have an edge rusher now. And Chicago, at least not a stud edge rusher. And it's the second most important position, really. Jalen Carter, Raiders, pretty straightforward. 3 down interior defensive lineman should help out with that pass rush that, outside of Max Crosby having a couple good games, has been pretty uninspiring. Then we got Seattle, Miles Murphy, edge. There's a good compliment for Boye Mafe. Moving forward, again, almost like a best player available type of a deal. And you got Keely Ringo going to Detroit with Armani Aruarie sort of underperforming and coming up as a free agent. I think getting another guy in there to go next to Jeffrey Okudah. And Okudah's starting to really emerge as a number 1, so it allows Ringo to come in there and not have the expectations of being a number 1 corner. Brian Breezy to Houston with their second pick. Best player, I think it's best defensive player available for them. I could see this maybe being Tyree Wilson if he blows up the workouts. But as of right now, I think Brian Breezy, just another plug-in day 1 guy, 3 down in interior defensive lineman. And Pierre Skoronski to Pittsburgh. I think the versatility possibilities on Skoronski to play tackle or guard will be what Pittsburgh, I think, will value to make him the number 1 offensive lineman. Unless they're dead set on getting somebody who for sure, 100%, no doubt is a tackle, then I could see it maybe being maybe Broderick Jones. But I think Skoronski, they have so many needs on the offensive line. I think that this is just something where they're like, we're guaranteed to get a starter and just get the best 5 guys on the field. Here's Jacksonville with Quentin Johnston, wide receiver. I think he's a good complement to what they have already there. With, they got Calvin Ridley, who's going to be coming up. Christian Kirk's that slot guy. Quinn Johnson could be a great outside receiver, contested catch guy, and can take over a game. Smoke screens and stuff, you can really work him into of the offense that you'd also be using with guys like Calvin Ridley and Christian Kirk as that is. Eagles, Tyree Wilson, edge, Texas Tech. Plug him into that front 4. Joey Porter going to Arizona. I think he's a perfect fit for this team and a team that needs a number 1 corner, and Porter could especially develop into that. Green Bay's in a weird spot. It's hard to pick for them at this high because they don't really have significant needs. Like, it's too early for a safety? Do they need a corner? I guess it depends on who they re-sign in the offseason. Do they need an edge rusher? Is it too early for that? Kingsley Nagbari is actually playing pretty well, and he's only going to develop further. So I just went with Michael Mayer, sort of a make good with Aaron Rodgers, especially because you're going to lose Robert Tonyan most likely in free agency, and Michael Mayer does suit that system quite well. Then I got Detroit going Isaiah Foskey, edge rusher, Notre Dame. Get somebody opposite Aiden Hutchinson. Will Levis comes off the board to the Colts. They're desperate, I think. Matt Ryan's playing better, but he's also a billion years old. So if he regresses, and it's a pattern of regression with a couple of good games, you're going to want to have somebody in there just in case those good games stop coming the way it seemed how it was going to be at the beginning of this season. With Calvin Ridley gone, Atlanta, Jordan Addison, good compliment to Drake London. Paris Johnson going to the Chargers. This is hopefully the right tackle, or maybe he plays left tackle and Rashawn Slater goes to right tackle, but this is like that last piece on that offensive line to really keep Justin Herbert upright. And here's Washington going Christian Gonzalez, cornerback, Oregon. You need more corners. You need more guys at that position. St. Juice has started to play a little bit better. I think since they moved him to the outside. I think they moved him to the outside, or they moved him to the inside. One of the two. But Christian Gonzalez goes in there. You can complement St. Juice quite well. Jets get Broderick Jones, tackle from Georgia. You're going to lose George Fant. Ugh. Mekhi Becton is he ever going to play again for the Jets? Probably not. Tampa Bay again, Bijan Robinson, the running back out of Texas. Just an identity. And I don't know if Brady's going to come back or not. And even if he does, getting him a 3-down back with, not a lot of mileage on him, I think would be very beneficial for this team. And pair him up with Rachaad White. To have a nice little young backfield there, but Bijan taking most of the load. Then Denver, Olu-Fashanu, tackle Penn State. This offense is god-awful. They're averaging less than 15 points a game. Had they averaged 19 points a game, they would be 9-1. So you got to put that into perspective about how bad this offense is. Seattle goes Trenton Simpson, linebacker, Clemson. This is the guy they pair up with Jordan Brooks. Hopefully some type of Bobby Wagner-esque replacement. Maybe. They were at their best when they had that Bobby Wagner, KJ Wright combination. Maybe the Trenton Simpson, Jordan Brooks is the new version of that. Patriots go Cam Smith, cornerback, South Carolina. Jack Jones, Marcus Jones. Some really good rookies there. Cam Smith can come in being an outside corner. I got the Bengals taking Osiris Torrance, the guard out of Florida. Just taking the best offensive lineman on the board. I don't think that they're really married to Cordell Volson or Jackson Carman at this point. So just, it's one of those things where you just throw a top-tier talent at that position right now and hope that it sticks. And you're also probably going to have to be looking for some tackles as well in free agency, because at this point, a lot of the tackles are off the board for that first round. So once you get to Jones and Fashanu, it's kind of like, is it Jalen Duncan? It might be too early, so you just grab Osiris Torrance, who's probably the better player overall. And I got the Bills going Antonio Johnson, defensive back. This guy can play anywhere. A great utility player that can be a starter at any of the positions on the defensive back grouping. Great for sub packages. It just makes a lot of sense for Buffalo. Here I got the Baltimore Ravens going with Jahmyr Gibbs, running back Alabama, the second running back finding his way in here. I like Gibbs just because the injuries at that running back position that Baltimore keeps suffering. J.K. Dobbins can't stay healthy. And Kenyon Drake's going to be a free agent coming up. So you just want to get somebody in there to help out that offense, because the defense is actually playing quite well. You got a really good defense out there, and you want to keep that offense churning, and you also don't want to be paying certain positions because you got to pay Lamar Jackson. You're hoping to maybe even pay Roquan Smith. Tennessee, I'm going Felix Anudike, edge rusher, Kansas State. I think it's pretty straightforward that they'll take the best edge rusher on the board for this pick. unless one of the offensive tackles finds a way to drop. Cowboys, Jackson Smith and Najigba. Wide receiver, Ohio State. Again, Tolbert's is not getting open. He's not playing very well. I know he's a rookie, but you got to get guys in that offense that can be weapons for Dak Prescott. Because the second you wind up in the situation they were in at the beginning of the year, where there wasn't a whole lot going on, and thank God teams were taking Cooper Rush lightly, and because there wasn't a whole lot going on at the wide receiver position there. Like the Giants going Eli Ricks, cornerback Alabama. That cornerback room is cheeks for my boys. Outside of Dory Jackson. Dory Jackson just got hurt going into the Thanksgiving game, so it's even worse. Now they got nothing going on at that cornerback position, so the depth that's lacking there is so much more evident now than it was even at the beginning of the year, where cornerback was still a big need coming in once they got rid of Bradbury in the cap clearing move. So they have to get some stud in there, and I think Ricks, now they're starting to play more, he's going to find his way into the first round. Then you got B.J. Ojolari to the Vikings. Good little third guy to mix in there. Zadarius Smith's having a good year. You want to keep it younger. You got two older guys playing that position, and having three edge rushers that you can rotate in and out, that you can create sub packages with. Because Zadarius Smith plays also really well if you line him up sort of as like a stand-up linebacker in the A gap and the B gap. So you can have Ojolari and Daniil Hunter sort of working on the edge, and then Zadarius Smith can be like a roam type of a player, the way you kind of saw him do it in Green Bay sometimes. Gervin Dexter, Kansas City, take the best interior defensive lineman on the board. I think they'll like him over Siaki Ika just because of Ika's lack of athleticism. And then I got the Brian Branch going to the Eagles. This would be a good pairing with Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, who I'm sure at this point they're going to bring back after the way he's performed since he's come to that team. Dolphins, you guys don't get a pick. Tampering, LOL. Just going to cut in on this video real quick to let you guys know about my main channel. It's called Will Reacts, where I cover all things from politics, pop culture, entertainment, ideological standings, all that good stuff, all that controversial, will I get banned one day topics. If you're interested in that, the link is in the description of this video. So after you finish watching this, you can go there and subscribe to that channel as well if you haven't already. Now let's get back to the sports talk. Moving on to the second round here, Kayshon Boutte and Jalen Hyatt, two wide receivers, come off the board right away. Yes, I got Houston and Carolina sort of going pick for pick here, matching each other. I do like Boutte in Houston more than Jalen Hyatt, just because Boutte is probably more likely to be an outside receiver than Jalen Hyatt is at the next level. And they already got like John Mechie and other guys like that for Houston at that position. But then Jalen Hyatt goes to Carolina, where he can play in that slot role with DJ Moore and Terrace Marshall as the outside guys. Pittsburgh, I got him taking a space eater, Siaki Ika. Replenishing an aging interior defensive line, kind of like what they drafted. The kid out of Mississippi State or Texas A&M. Was it Mississippi State or Texas A&M? DeMarvin Leal. Raiders, Anton Harrison. They need a tackle. Theron Munford is looking pretty good, but he's going to be better at guard. So you get Harrison, play one of the tackle spots. Josh Downs going to Seattle. There's your slot receiver. Then I got a run on edge rushers to some teams that need them. Rams, Browns, Steelers, all get edge rushers. I just sort of took who I felt was the best in order of who was the best ones. Even though Nolan Smith, I think, with his injury, but I could see the Rams being a team that's sort of looking to like having a lot of faith that this year might just be an anomaly for them, and that they'll be able to come out strong next year and be able to work Nolan Smith into the defense and worry about his overall skill set in the long term rather than what kind of immediate impact he could possibly give, the way Andre Carter and Jared Verse could for the Browns and the Steelers. Jags go Clark Phillips. It's a good little pair up here with Tyson Campbell. Clark Phillips likely going to be a slot guy, however. Then I got the Saints going with Tanner McKee. You can see there I got the Lions going Anthony Richardson. The reason I put them in that order is I feel like the Saints are going to want a more NFL-ready quarterback. And with Hendon Hooker's injury, they're going to want to get that guy in, probably worked in immediately. So I think that's going to help Tanner McKee's draft prospects. And I got Anthony Richardson going to Detroit because you can keep Jared Goff if you insist. I highly recommend against it. But whatever, Detroit fans want to keep him, so you're keeping him. But you get Anthony Richardson in there just because he can play behind Goff for a year, which he's probably going to need to do to have a lot of long-term success in the NFL. In between those picks, I got 2 tackles going off the board. Duncan to the Cardinals, play that right tackle position. And then Darnell Wright coming into the Packers. He's got a great college season, really under the radar. I think a team's going to fall in love with the fact that his like pressure rate is amazing. So I think teams are going to acknowledge that, and he's going to fly up boards probably a lot faster than a lot of people in the mock draft community are going to be firing him up boards. I got the Colts going with Emmanuel Forbes, cornerback. They need help at the quarterback room. Zach Harrison going to the Falcons, helping out that edge rushing group that they have. Lorenzo Carter's on a 1-year deal. Don't know if they'll want to bring him back. It might be just more of like a 1 year and then see you later while we replace you with somebody younger and cheaper. And I got Mozzie Smith going to the Chargers because that front 3 be bad. It be so bad. And Mozzie Smith is a great space eater. Washington, Noah Sewell, grabbing another Oregon defensive player. Pair him up with Jamin Davis. Then we got the Jets going Brandon Joseph, safety in Notre Dame. It's really the only position on their defense where you can be like, this is a drastic need for them. You could probably argue linebacker depending on what they do with that position in the offseason. But as of right now, it's guy would prioritize safety over linebacker. Devin Witherspoon coming into Tampa Bay. They're going to lose Murphy Bunting and or Jamel Dean, so you got to replace that. Probably going to have to lose both. So you're going to be running Carlton Davis, Zion McCollum, and then you'll need a third guy there. Devin Witherspoon, I think, would be fantastic. Here is the Panthers going Blake Corum, running back Michigan. This guy's killing it. Absolutely killing it. Hasn't caught a lot. I think he's only caught 11 passes. But I could also see them going into a more traditional running back role with him and pairing him up with Chuba Hubbard to help out the new quarterback that I just gave them. Then we got Andrew Voorhees, guard, going to Seattle. Gabe Jackson's career is pretty much done at this point. And if it isn't, you want to get somebody in there to have a smooth transition away from him. And Damian Lewis is kind of the epitome of average. He had a good rookie year and then kind of just stayed that way. Patriots got Cody Mock from North Dakota State. It's your Isaiah Wynn replacement. You're also going to lose Marcus Cannon, so you really only got what's his face, Trent Brown right now as a tackle, and that's about it. I mean, you could have Michael Onwenu play tackle, but he's so much better at guard. Then I got Garrett Williams going to the Bengals. They finally get rid of Eli Apple. Bills go Cooper Beebe, guard. Kansas State. Figure out that interior offensive line. Figure it out, Buffalo. Then we got the Bears going Henry To'oTo'o, linebacker, Alabama. I just got the best player on the board. And he was my best player on the board. And it had to be a position of need for this team. I don't even know who plays linebacker for them anymore. Titans, Darnell Washington, the tools on him, the size. They're going to love it. Cowboys go Sean Tucker. This is your either Tony Pollard or Ezekiel Elliott replacement. You're hoping it's probably an Ezekiel Elliott replacement. Giants get their outside receiver, Rashee Rice, wide receiver, SMU. They need to help that receiver room. So invest another second-round pick in another receiver. You got him. You got Wandale. Darius Slayton had a contract reconstructed. Galladay will probably still be there, but, I mean, he's not playing. He's just a high-priced bench player. And Sterling Shepard coming off an ACL tear. You can't really rely on him to maybe be out there too strong next year. May have played his last game as a Giant. DeJuan Jones going to Miami. This is your right tackle. Drew Sanders to the Lions. This is the pair up you have with Malcolm Rodriguez, who's made some good plays, but he's also made some really bad plays. You want to get a second guy in there, and Anzalone's going to be a free agent. And why bother paying for these guys when you have all this draft capital you can be spending and keep replenishing that position? You can still add some veterans later, but you're going to need someone long term at that position, and I think Drew Sanders would be a good option. Matthew Bergeron going to the Chiefs. You're going to lose Orlando Brown, and even if you don't, Andrew Wiley is a guard playing right tackle. You want to just keep making sure you got a good group on the offensive line to keep your $500 million quarterback upright. And I got Jalen Jones, who fell a bit for me. I like Jalen Jones. I think he might go a lot higher than this. I just couldn't find a spot for him leading up to this pick. Unfortunately, it was a little too soon for him at the top of the first round, and then the way that sort of worked out, here he is at 64 going to the Eagles, who land a great pick in their secondary. You got him with Bradbury and Slay if you want to bring Bradbury back. You got Brian Branch now with Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. You got a really good group of defensive backs to go along with the edge rusher I gave you at the first round, Tyree Wilson. So lots of defense. Going to play some good defense. And there you have it. There is 2 rounds, 63 picks, because Miami, again, tampering. Leave your comments in the comment section of what you thought of all of this. All 63 picks. How do you feel about what I did for your team? I know Detroit Lions fans kind of give me hell. Is this a little bit more to your liking? Let me know. Hit the like regardless, and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you with the next video. Peace.